Hello everybody, this is Paweł Kozioł speaking for the project Go for Everyone, and this time I'm going to present some informations for the beginners about so-called basic instincts, or rather basic replies, about situations when the opponent makes a move and there is at least one obvious move which you should at least consider, and if you don't play it, you better have a good reason for it. I must say that I have not invented this topic. I have found it on a beautiful wiki page called Sensei's Library, senseisexemplar.net, and I even got the name Basic Instinct from there. Anyhow, the page lists a couple of situations where you are basically expected to reply in a certain way. This does not mean that you should play this move all the time, but it's like the first move you should consider, and frankly speaking, there are not many situations when such moves are bad. Consider, for example, such a turn of events. Black played this move, putting white stone into Atari, and this position screams, you should extend. Because you don't basically want the opponent to take this stone for free. Of course, as with all rules, this rule also has some exceptions. For example, this is pretty obvious that you will not extend here, because it does not gain you a liberty, and the opponent still can take these stones. It's equally obvious, if not visible at first sight, that you will not extend here, because your stone will get caught in a very short ladder. But in a situation when you don't see the way your stone can be captured, extension is an obvious idea. So, the first basic instinct is, when in Atari, you extend. The second basic instinct is that if an opponent plays a contact move, then you should reply locally, and most of the time you should hane. I know this can be a bit scary because it leads to complicated fights caused by a crosscut, which have been explained in another video of mine, but the important thing is that in such a fight, if you get attached and play a hane, then you have the privilege of making the first move. So this is not really a problem for you, this is a problem for your opponent. Of course, sometimes, like perhaps in 10% of situations, it pays off to extend rather than play hane, but hane should be your go-to move, should be the first idea that comes to your mind. Opponent attacked your zone, attacked the stone which has already been there, so you should try to surround him. The extension of this rule is that if there are two pairs of stones in a direct contact, then your go-to move should be a hane, because you are trying to encircle enemy stones, and even if they try to escape, then you usually keep a higher position. This, by the way, informs me about the direction of a hane, because in this position you don't hane here, because the opponent would just extend and build his position one way or the other. If you play a hane that encircles his position, then he will have much less options. Another basic instinct I'm gonna show you is that when your opponent plays such a move, which is an attachment supported by another stone, and he plays it against your lonely stone, what should be your reaction? You should extend, because you don't really want this scenario. This is even better for black than a normal hane against attachment, because his position is already solidified, and if white tries to escape, then you just push him again and again, building some kind of wall. So, to avoid this scenario, white plays on a spot when the opponent would like to play. So, if the opponent makes a diagonal attachment, you should extend. What if the opponent plays not a contact move, but a diagonal move? In this event, your basic instinct should be to extend. After extension, your stones have more liberties than opposing stones, and white needs to take care of his single stone. By the way, the usual move of which takes care of this stone is here. You do not play here, because after this error, black gets to play Hane at the head of two stones. So it's much better for you to play first in the position where this Hane would happen. If blocking against a diagonal attachment is good, then it should be equally good against a diagonal attachment which is supported. Let's consider this situation. Black played first in the corner, white approached, and instead of playing some more common moves like here or perhaps here, black played like that. Even if you don't know this Joseki, you should know that playing here as a basic instinct cannot be bad. And the interesting thing is that you get the same position as with a Joseki with a lower move. Also, as you see, several basic instinct plays lead to the same situation. It doesn't matter whether the starting stone was here or here, the position is the same and it's of the same quality. What if a diagonal play has a less direct support? Consider this Joseki already shown by Sasha Yeroshkin. White can play here, and as you can probably guess, defending here is also a basic instinct move. Play continues here or here, and for a complete explanation of this line, I would recommend watching Sasha's material. But one thing to remember is that this defense is a basic instinct and it should not be bad. Incidentally, if you get attacked like this, there is another option sometimes, which consists of pushing and cutting, and you see it can lead to a windmill, a position which I have covered in the movie about the crosscut. So you see that the basic instincts and the shapes resulting from such moves kind of blend together. Another basic instinct is to connect against a pip. Suppose you played two of your stones one space apart, thinking that they are connected, and the opponent tries to challenge this connection. Then the most obvious reply is to connect. But there is one interesting thing about this basic instinct, namely that if you don't look at the stones in isolation, if there is some kind of fight around them, then sometimes there are more efficient moves, like here, or possibly here. For example, suppose black plays here to defend the cut, white persists in cutting, and true, white gets this stone, but at the same time black obtains a beautiful shape. Another interesting example is in this Joseki. Black can threaten to cut here, and if black plays this pip, then white has to reply, because if he doesn't, black pushes through and cuts here. Now the best thing white can do is defending the corner and losing this stone in a ladder, which is already a bad result. But taking this stone is even worse. This way, white loses an entire corner. So, thinking how to reply here, the basic instinct would be to connect. But as things are, there is even a better move, this one, which allows white to extend a little bit towards the top of the board, and it also protects against the cut. Now this move doesn't work. So you can see that connecting against a pip is a good idea, but equally it's a good moment to look whether there is a better move. As it happens, I have already shown you another basic instinct in the sequence we have been analyzing previously. Namely, if the opponent pushes through, you should block even though there is a cut waiting, because this is most of the time the only way to resist, like in this line where you managed to save at least the corner. A nice example of this basic instinct of blocking when the opponent tries to push through is an old joseki. Black plays this kosumi, white plays a tenuki, black attacks here. And now, the old but still perfectly viable move is this. White literally invites black to push through because he is prepared to react no matter what happens. Suppose black pushes, white plays our basic instinct move, and black has choice of two cuts, here or here. Let's start with this one, which is a bad one. White just takes this stone, black plays here, white takes. Now black has to defend against the escape of this stone, but if he does, then white can leave the position for the time being, but later on he has a very nice endgame move here, where black cannot go down because he will lose these two stones, so black is reduced to taking this stone and giving white at least a core. So, taking into account how many stones black has invested, this cannot be a good result. So let's see another cut here. White takes. Now black should take this stone into ladder, provided this ladder works. Yeah, it still works. And now white has a pleasant choice of playing here or here. So you see, there are situations when blocking an opponent's push is not just a sad necessity, but a perfectly viable strategy. And the last basic instinct I want to show you is that when the opponent bumps against your stone, then you should extend. It's your choice which side you prefer, but one thing to remember is don't play Hane, because if you do, white plays a crosscut, but this is the kind of crosscut when white has already extended, so it's much better position for him. No matter what you do, the best thing you can achieve is a windmill, and you are not the side to play first. So after the bump, just extend and never ever play a Hane, which is too weak. I hope you have enjoyed this little lecture about the basic instincts, and I want to finish where I have begun, showing you a cheat sheet, a sequence of diagrams informing you what the basic instincts are. After Atari, extend. After attachment, Hane. At the head of two stones, you play a Hane. If the opponent bumps against your stone from a diagonal attachment, you extend. Against a diagonal play, you extend. Against a diagonal play supported by a kosumi, by a diagonal move, you extend too. Against a diagonal play supported by a Keima, by a knight's move, you extend, just like in the previous example. Against a pip, you connect, except when you can find a better move, like a diagonal move here, or even a move here. This is the position when you analyze your options, but most of the time just connecting is good enough. Against a pushing move, you protect, you block, and it's opponent's turn to decide which side to cut. Against a bump supported by a stone, you just extend and you don't play a Hane. This is the list of the basic instincts. I would like to add just one. Suppose this was first move of the sequence. Then you replay here to avoid a Hane. I hope this information will allow you to make better decisions during your games. Thank you very much for listening.